Hello everyone, it's me Luthfia. Today we are going to learn about teaching across age levels. There are three topics that we are going to learn. The first is teaching children, the second is teaching adult, and the third is teaching in between. Let's start with teaching children. There are some practical approaches to teaching children. The first is intellectual development. Intellectual development refers to the complex process through which humans acquire the ability to manipulate, use, and communicate knowledge. According to the Piaget theory, children are included in concrete operational stage in which they actively construct knowledge through experience and exploration. And here are some guidelines in teaching children. First, don't explain grammar using terms like present, progressive, or relative clause. The second, rules state in abstract terms. To make a statement into a question, you add a do or does should be avoided. The third, some grammatical concepts, especially at the upper levels of childhood, can be called to learners' attention by showing them a pattern and example. The fourth, certain more difficult concepts or patterns require more repetition than adult needs, but not to the point of boredom. Short, snappy drills may be very helpful. Fifth, but when you do a short drills, make sure your student understand the meaning and relevance of what they are reciting. Try to avoid scenes like the one with the little boy who had no pencil. Second approach is sensory input. What is sensory input? So sensory input describes the response of our sensory organ, like eyes, ears, and etc., have whenever it receives stimuli. Children need to have all five senses stimulated: sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. And here are some guidelines in teaching children by using or stimulating the sensory. The first, pepper your lesson with physical activities such as having students act out things, role play games, sing a song, and etc. The second, project and other hands-on activities will help the children to internalize language. Examples include the science project described above, plus drawing pictures, working in group on a poster or diorama, and etc. The third, sensory aids help children to internalize concepts. The smell of flowers, the touch of plants and fruits, and the taste of food, and etc. The fourth, remember that your own nonverbal language is important because children will attend very sensitively to your facial expression, gestures, and other elements of your body language. The next approach is affective factors. So affective factors are emotional factors which influence learning. Since the children's ego are still being shaped, that's why the teacher should be conscious in teaching them. Here are some guidelines in teaching children by paying attention to the affective factors. First, help your students to laugh with each other at various mistakes that they are made. Second, be patient and supportive in order to build self-esteem by complimenting them on their work and accomplishment. At the same time, be firm in your expectation of the student. The third, elicit as much oral participation as possible from the students, especially the quieter ones, to give them opportunities to try out a newly introduced language. The next approach is authentic and meaningful language. In the teaching and learning process, the teacher should create a learning content that the materials come from a genuine source. And here are some guidelines in applying authentic and meaningful language. First, be real, be genuine. Show that you truly enjoy them. Children are good at sensing when adults going through the motion or bored with their own job. Enthusiastically enrich children as if they are your own. The second, language need to be firmly context embedded. Storyline, familiar situation, and characters, real life conversation, meaningful purposes in using language. This will establish a context within which language can be used and thereby improve attention and retention. The third, capitalize on the relationship among the various skills such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing for reinforcement. Integrate at least two skills whenever possible. If language is broken into too many bits and pieces, students may not see the relationship to the whole. That's all about teaching children. Now we are going to move to the next topic, that is teaching adults. There are some characteristics of adult learners. Those are: adult can grasp a content-reduced element of language better than the children do. Adults have longer attention span than children. Adult ego is stronger than the children ego. Adults are able to focus on their vocational future. Here are some guidelines in teaching adults. First, beware of too much abstract explanation of grammar and vocab. So, in the teaching and learning process, the teacher should show respect for the deeper thoughts and feeling that may be trapped for the moment by inability to express oneself in the L2. Second, don't treat adults in your class like children by calling them kids using caretaker talk or talking down to them. Third, yes, adults have longer attention span than children, but it's still important to keep your activity moving along at a lively pace. The next guideline, give the students as many opportunities as possible to make choices, to enact their agency about what they will do in and out of the classroom. Give them opportunity to share their stories. Tap into your student vocational or vocational interest as much as possible in your choice of topics, issue, question, and discussion in the classroom. That's all about teaching adults. Now we will move to the last topic, teaching in between or teenagers. There are some characteristics of teenagers learners. Those are: first, teenagers are capable of complex thinking. They move from concrete thinking to formal logical operation. Second, teenagers' attention span is longer than children and less than adults. Their attention span can easily be mitigated by some factors. The third, teenagers are ultra sensitive to how others perceive their changing physical and emotional self along with their mental capability. Here are some guidelines in teaching teenager students. First, when you use explanation or definition and other meta language, make the explanation brief, to the point, and relevant to the communicative task at hand. Second, some of your activity can involve critical thinking by applying values and beliefs to controversial issues. Third, make sure your lesson have variety so that attention span is not an impeding factor. Fourth, appeal to your student immediate interests. Fifth, give the student chance to talk about their own likes and dislikes. For example, fashion, actors, singers, and sports team will usually stimulate opinion. Fifth, encourage small group work where risks can be taken more easily. In those groups, emphasize cooperatively, teamwork, and conversationally. De-emphasize competition among classmates. That's all about teaching across different levels. If you have any question or comment, you can write it in the comment section below. See you in the next video. Goodbye.